Hello, and welcome to today's live immigration attorney chat. My name is attorney Vanessa Ruiz, and I am part of Immigration for Couples. For those of you who are new to our firm or new to our Facebook page, welcome, first of all. And we just want to let you know that our firm is dedicated exclusively to helping couples navigate the U.S. immigration process. We love assisting clients across the nation, across the world. We have clients from everywhere, and we regularly host these Facebook Lives just so we can give you guys important information and updates in the world of immigration, specifically for couples. So for those of you who are watching us live, please share this video. Please leave a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. Say hello to us. And then if you have any questions, as always, please feel free to leave them in the comments. If I get a chance to at the end, I will definitely go ahead and try to answer whatever I can. Of course, everything that we give is just general legal information, and nothing is going to compare to actually having an individual consultation with an attorney. So, of course, we will try and give as much general information as we can, but honestly, nothing beats that one-on-one conversation just because every case is different. And so that's one of the things that we always tell our clients, our consultations as well, is that even though it sounds like your brother's case, your cousin's case, your best friend's case, it sounds like they're the same, they're really not. And every single case is different. Every single case is an individual case, so it needs to be treated as such. And that's why we say we can give you general information, but honestly, needing to meet with you in person, on the phone, on Zoom, anything just is going to help really get to know you, get to know your story, and that way we can give you actual legal advice. So just to kind of keep note, of course, this is general information. Also, if you're watching us later on, if you're watching the recorded version, hello to you as well. And also, please like and share the video. Let us know that you're watching it on replay. And then, of course, even if you leave a comment afterwards, we're going to see it. So please let us know your questions. Let us know if there's anything burning or pressing that you'd like to know about. And that way we can try and cover it as well, maybe in a different video. Since if you have that question, there's probably someone else that does as well. So getting into today's topic, we're going to talk about who must attend a consular interview. So a few months ago, beginning of the year really, there was an announcement from the government stating that certain people did not have to attend an interview. And so I know that this caused a lot of confusion. There was a lot of people who were thinking, hey, maybe this means I don't actually have to go to an interview. So, unfortunately, I would say that, 99% of people still have to attend an interview. And if you want to know about your case specifically, of course, as always, like I said, we can talk individually, contact our firm at immigrationforcouples.com so we can really get to know your case if you already have one going. Or if you're about to start a process, if you're now engaged, if you're going to get married soon, if you're already married, just married, been married for 10 years but haven't done anything, that's okay. We help with all those kinds of processes. So definitely reach out to us on immigrationforcouples.com. But most of those people who are in that situation are going to have to attend an interview. So the announcement that was released, like I said, around the beginning of the year, was that they were waiving personal appearances and interview requirements for certain immigrant visa applicants. So the immigrant visa applicants normally are going to be those who are coming here for permanent residency eventually. And so there were a lot of people who said, hey, I'm married, I'm going through the process, does this mean I don't have to go to an interview in my home country? There were also a lot of fiancés who were saying, does this mean, maybe we'll get there faster if I don't have to go to an interview? Like I said, unfortunately, this applies to a very small subsect of people. And that specifically, that small group specifically, are people who had already had an interview. So that's the key. What happens after an interview, and we can definitely have another video where we kind of discuss the interview process a little bit more in detail. But essentially, after the interview, you would be given the approval, and they would either give you a packet with a passport and a visa on it, or a lot of times, depending on the consulate, now they're going electronic. And so they may say, go to the actual, port of entry, and they'll have your electronic information there to enter the U.S., essentially your immigrant visa. So you're coming into the U.S. as a permanent resident or as a fiance, things like that. And so if people do not enter the U.S. within a certain time, that visa actually will get canceled. So most of the time there's going to be a time frame that people have to enter the US, or they need to either start over, they need to kind of repay fees, they need to resubmit documentation. So for that reason, we never advise people to wait too long to actually enter the US. But the people who are finding themselves in this situation, in this small group where the new rule applies to them, are those who actually did not enter the U.S. on time. And so there could be multiple reasons for this. Things happen. Honestly, life happens. People get sick. During a worldwide pandemic, unfortunately, people are finding themselves sick more often than not. And so if somebody was really, really sick, if there was a family emergency that required them to stay back, and they didn't enter the U.S. on time, so they've already been issued their immigrant visa, they've already been approved, they just didn't actually enter the U.S., that is who this specific rule applies to. And so we kind of just wanted to clarify that, just because we have received a lot of questions from people saying, is this good news? Does this mean that I don't have to go? Will I actually be able to enter the U.S. quicker because I don't have to wait for that interview? Unfortunately, I'm going to say no, this doesn't apply to you the majority of the time. It's just going to be that small group of people who, specifically after August 4th of 2019, so pretty much at the beginning of the pandemic until now, if they have been issued their actual immigrant visa, they've been approved, they just did not travel to the U.S. on that immigrant visa. They did not use that to enter, and they're still looking to come. So now they're ready. Whatever else may have happened has now been resolved. Now they want to enter the U.S. It's essentially giving the consular officers the option to not have to re-interview them, just because they are still working on limited resources. This is the reason why so many consular interviews are delayed, is because there's only so much that they can do as humanly possible, especially when they're still human. So people are still getting sick, people are still calling out, things like that. They have limited resources. So that's causing the backlog for general interviews in all of the consulates. So they're basically giving them the ability to say, okay, if you have already been interviewed before, if you've already been issued an immigrant visa, the only thing you didn't do was enter the U.S., then we're going to go ahead. We have the ability to waive another interview. They might still ask you to pay additional fees. They might still ask you to resubmit documentation, but they could say, hey, is everything else the same as when we interviewed the first time? And if you say yes, then they have the option to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and just push this for approval versus having you come back in, because they could give that interview slot to somebody who has never been interviewed before, and that way that backlog hopefully eventually ends up getting reduced. And so, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but a lot of people were kind of hoping that they didn't have to attend an interview. Unfortunately, you do. So I would say the majority of cases, any kind of immigrant visa, non-immigrant visa, you're going to have at least one consular interview. And so it's better to be prepared for that. Like I said, we can definitely talk more in detail about what the consular interview entails in another video. That's something that we can talk about later for sure. But you're going to have to go. You're going to have to get interviewed so that way they can approve you to be able to enter the U.S. with whatever kind of visa that you are applying for. So just to kind of clarify that confusion, who must attend a consular interview? I'm going to say the majority of people must, unless you fall into that small subset, like I said, of people who have already been interviewed and just got approved and just did not enter the U.S. So just kind of clarifying that. And don't worry, consular interviews are not something to be afraid of. It's something that, for example, us as attorneys prepare our clients for. And so that's something that we do. That's the reason why we also recommend having an attorney, because the attorneys know kind of the latest trends, what's going on. And we really do our best at our firm, Immigration for Couples, to really, really prepare people for those interviews and ensure that they feel confident when they go into those interviews. Of course, we can never control what the officers do, but as long as you go in prepared, you know you're ready, you know what kind of questions they're going to ask along the lines of, you have all the documents you need, then there's no reason to be afraid of these consular interviews. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that you do have to get interviewed. So that's kind of just what I wanted to address today. Also, like I said, please like and share our videos, and that way we can reach more people. We can help anyone out if they happen to have a doubt, if they have a burning question. That's what we love to do. We love to just reach people and help them out as much as they can. So like I said, we do have these weekly. We are planning on having more during the week, so keep an eye on our page. We'll always announce it beforehand. And if you have any questions, if you are starting a case, anything like that, like I said, visit our website, immigrationforcouples.com. We have some free resources there, but the key is going to be scheduling a consultation with myself, with Attorney Megan, Attorney Desiree. We have a great team of attorneys and our support staff, and so we'd love to get to know you. But other than that, like I said, please like, share, leave us comments, and we will see you later on during the week. And I hope you have a great Monday and a great start of the week. We'll talk to you soon.